So this is the one that I saw.
Yeah, this is me. This the one at the center is me. It's just that I grew out of it. I'm much better looking.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm great today. Yeah, today is Christmas Eve, so.
But I'm just wondering, how do you celebrate Christmas in Malaysia? Is it something?
Right now it's pretty quiet. Yeah, usually we celebrate quite happy day.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like having big meals, shopping around. The people here really like to shop. They buy a lot of items, but right now it's still getting more and more serious right now regarding the COVID-19 situation here. Like the big cities have like a few days ago 2,000 cases per day, and it seems to be going upwards. So try not to go out and celebrate too much. Usually celebrating at home. How about you?
Well, in our country, we had a general community quarantine. That's the technical term for our country's lockdown. Even though it's locked down, public movement has been quite a bit lenient to make way for activities that involves shopping and buying foodstuff. Every 24th of December, we have this thing that we call Noche Buena. So it's kind of a Spanish influence event where every Christmas Eve, people are having this big dinner feast. So it's some people go to church, but right now, because of the pandemic, public congregation is kind of illegal in our country, or controlled. I think you can't go with more than 15 people in any given point in time in public. So do you still wear face mask, face shield in Malaysia?
Yeah, I have to wear the mask every day, but of course right now it's quite relaxed in certain office. Some workplace they don't really wear masks, but usually when I go out, or even if I work in office, I will make sure I wear mask because I do travel a lot to different project site. I travel a lot to multiple offices every week, so I have to take care of myself. It's my responsibility to wear mask. Is it the same in Philippines right now?
Oh yeah. If I remember, there's a new ordinance in our country wherein you need to wear face shield once you go out of the house, and there's some sort of problems regarding wearing face shield while riding a bicycle or a motorcycle because of safety issues. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy time to go out these days. I don't go out too much, even if I have some work to do or something like that, just because of public safety.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask you, what's the COVID situation in Malaysia right now? Do you still have more than 1,000 cases active, or what do you think is the last update there?
Right now, every day it constantly over 1,000, and when it gets serious, it's like 2,000 cases per day for Malaysia. So it seems to be going up. The trend doesn't seem to get slowed down or get reduced. It's not that positive. But the government, it seems that people is really not feeling much more relaxed right now. People are going out everywhere, having gathering, have group photos everywhere. So the numbers may go up very soon.
Yeah, over here it's kind of
like for us, the student.
Yeah, over here it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy because it kind of about 4,000 cases a day the last time I checked. But it has a lot to do with where, because people are buying stuff outside. I guess that's where it starts. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's focus on you, Caleb. So you're from Malaysia, and
Yeah.
you were born and raised in Malaysia.
Yeah, in Kuala Lumpur as well, like in the major city in Malaysia. So
Uh,
then I straight away I study here local as well for the diploma, degree, and a master. Everything is done here in the same city.
so what makes you decide to take architecture when you're in high school?
Okay, so pretty early on, I already decided I wanted to do design. I want to learn design. Then from my understanding at that time, architecture is like the main branch on top, whereby with architecture, I can take graphic design, video film, I can do a lot other things. And then at that time, and even now, I'm very much interested in workload that has very high stakes. Therefore, I'm very much driven to architecture because I think architecture is the one with the highest stake. Like mistake in graphic design or mistake in other design work, the consequence isn't as much as architecture. So that's what pulled me into architecture. But my primary interest is on design, less on building. Yep. So that's what pulled me into architecture.
Some of my friends started in another discipline before they end up practicing the discipline of architecture. Yeah, well, if you ask me, I started with comic art. Do you have the same kind of story wherein you came from another discipline before you go into architecture?
I draw a lot. I draw since I was like 3 years old. I keep drawing. I draw during classes. Pretty early on, I already know that I have to. I want to do work with my hand, create stuff. So like the work that I've done, like you see in the Unending Square, like all this sketch behind me, like all these skill are in drawing and sketching. I don't have to train after I go into diploma. Even before I go into diploma, I already can draw like that. So there is a huge shortcut that I think is it's very helpful as my strength as a student back then. So I like what you do, like what you said, like 3 years old I already started like scribbling like comic books, whatnot. I went through that.
Maybe that's the reason why your style of visual presentation is pretty distinct. That leads you to win the one drawing awards. Is that the correct name of the competition? The Architizer event.
Yeah.
Is it something
one
that
is for Architizer, one is Archisource.
Your style, right? We can saw it at the back of your where are you right now? Is that something that is unique to you, or something that you're trained for, wherein in class you're trained to do this kind of visual presentation?
But basically, I'm not really having a style. All the while, I'm really intrigued by some Excel drawing that I've seen from someone called Jen. I can't recall the full name. Someone from AA where they draw similar style like this. I'm not sure the one that does let me see, I can find out the person names. But I've always been interested in drawing style that have very dark shadow, black and white. But of course, everything is intentional because it all ties back to my literature study. The theory that I devised is from the mental transcript, whereby in the mental transcript they have all of this graphic in the drawing. So it's just nice and happened coincidentally that using this style, like black and white, complement the theory. So all the exploration from the first week until the last week, every work that I produce is in similar style, make it more consistent and whatnot. But if you were to ask about my school at that time, no other student really draw like that. It's still pretty much everyone is doing digital rendering, everyone is doing the usual normal stuff and it's quite a risk for me to take this path. Then it was.
Will you share something or?
I'm trying to find the file for me to share.
Yeah, but the share screen button is on, so you can share anytime.
There's one called Jen Kaplicki, I think, the person that inspired. Remember, it's something like that. Jen Kaplicki. Yes, future system. Yeah, I'm showing up the. Wait. Let me share my screen. My screen is freezing at the moment.
It's okay.
And last time I used to intern and work 2 years in Kenyang, and Kenyang also does that kind of drawing. It's a bit old school because people don't really do that kind of drawing right now. But back in the days, is what I really fall in love with. Black and white, very dark shadows.
So you worked with Kenyang for a few years?
A total of 2 years. So it's this guy, Jen Kaplicki, Advanced System.
Okay.
It's from AA. You can see the drawing.
Yes.
I really like this style, and I try to do this since I'm in my degree last semester. Oops, very laggy. So I kind of get inspired from this. This kind of drawing where they have very dark shadows and they have notation, like arrows showing how it turns, and then it's quite detailed. It's cut out Excel drawing. So these are the style that inspired me working towards it. And of course, there's also the Manhattan transcript. Yeah, let me search the Manhattan transcript. So all this is a part of the reason why, because I didn't really have a particular style. First of all, it's also quite analytical. The intention behind having those is like I want to take away the element of materiality. So the focus is less on material, and less on time, less on the season. It became more towards the content. I want to reduce the distraction in the graphic, because right now, like you see on the Unending Square, it itself is already quite messy, right? So these are my literature theory that I use. All of this is only line, graphic. This is my main literature body where I derive my theories.
And this is Bernard Tschumi, right?
Yes, this is Bernard Tschumi. And one of the pioneer he started deconstructivists, one of the 7 deconstructivists.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it keeps freezing my screen. So these are like the work for the Unending Square. So I try to be as much. So from this drawing itself is already complicated enough. If I add colors, add material, or any other graphical element, it probably make it harder to read. Also, because here I purely want to focus more on the architectural body. Low wall, high wall, full height wall, is it curtain glass wall? Is there any column, all the architectural element? And of course, like Bernard Tschumy's theory is highly related to the event that happened within. So if I really want to show event, it's quite straightforward method if I straightaway draw it like that. Like people running, people consuming food. To me, it's simpler to straightaway draw it on the screen. like all the event, if I were to Photoshop or render, it would be quite hard.
Yeah.
So in order to fully explore the event, I rather sketch it straight away. And to me, it's something that I don't have to think about in terms of the difficulty.
And I saw your workflow on this on Instagram. Well, not this particular work, but how you draw. You use this translucent paper, right? And you.
Yeah. It's what we call butter paper.
Yeah, butter paper. Would you believe in the Philippines we call it hopia paper? Are you familiar with hopia?
What is hopia? Is it hopia?
It's like a mooncake or something like that. So it's a food.
How do you pronounce that?
Hopia. I think you
hopia.
Yeah. We call it hopia, but I understand that over there it's butter paper. So yeah, you are using a Unipin for this or a technical pen.
All these are actually it's a normal pen. Normal pen, not technical pen. Like it's all these what you call the art line pen. The art line pen.
Yeah,
different line weight. That's it. But of course, the line weight here I didn't draw it detailed enough. Like, the line weight isn't that differentiated. I kind of rushed through producing this, so it could have definitely be better. Like the human, all those I could use an even thinner line weight if I want to improve on that. Yeah, it was quite rushed at that time. But from here, like what I said, the event can only be drawn. Yeah,
and yeah, the way I'm looking at it's like a section combination of section, isometric drawing, and there's a lot of information that are being presented in one illustration. Maybe I think that's the motivation on cutting or sectioning the part of the unending square for us to see the atrium at the middle. It's kind of very difficult thing to do. I mean, I can only imagine how long did you finish this before, or did you even had any errors that
what do you mean errors?
Did you had any like minor mistakes that you need to erase, or is it something that what's your
like
yeah,
actually here, right, people can't verify whether is it a mistake or not because people don't really know how the project looks like sometimes here I added some fictional item. There's little part here may not be like you see this. Can you see my mouse? Let me annotate.
Yeah, you can use annotation.
Yeah, the problem, the beauty of all this is like people won't know like, oh wait, how can I annotate? I'm clicking. It's very left.
On the options, there's the
yeah. I already click it. Yeah. It's basically this. It's not supposed to be so long. You see, this pathway should end like around here, but to exaggerate the movement and path, I can draw something forced. So sometimes I just think that we are too honest or too realistic with our drawing. Like whatever looks like in actual the building, the whole elevation must tally, the section must tally with the floor plan. Sometimes what I learned maybe from Kenyang or looking at the past old drawing, right? Sometimes to really express or explore certain theory or concept, it doesn't have to tally. Like the elevation doesn't have to tally with the section doesn't have to tally with the perspective even, because at the end of the day, all this is for academic purposes only. It's not going to get built.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't have to be fully accurate. So I think mostly sometimes now students don't really explore and have fun in the drawing. So when you ask about mistake, there's some mistake, very minor mistake here and there, but all this is rushed drawn in a stretch. I think this drawing, this image used 21 or 22 hours, I think. It was like 2 weeks before the submission where I started the production stage. I'm facing my roadside, so you may hear some traffic.
Oh, it's fine. And this project is a mixed-use development, right? A shopping mall, I guess.
It's all co-working space. This whole building is designed as co-working space.
Oh, right, yeah. So it's
I explore co-working culture for this project. So I actually choose that because it's straight away. It's a shortcut I use as well, because people like me, like you, in the tutor or the general creative class, we always work and jump everywhere. It's very mobile. Like the creative class co-work a lot. We work on phone, we work on laptops. So straight away the user group, I don't have to spend a lot of time in studying the specific need of user group. Then there I expand. So it is in simple. If I want to simplify this project, at the end the outcome is more like the snake and ladder game. So if let's say I use laptop people sometimes they want very refreshing feel. Like I want to always change place to sit. I want to see different view at every angle. So from this project, it's all linked together with different circulation. Every space there's at least 2 entrances. So every day when you walk up and experience the space, you can walk many different circulation. It's like a snake and ladder game. Then every time when you sit down to work on the laptop, the view you get is different. So those are the main design objective that we have for this project. So entirely it's a co-working world of its own that allow people to have their own interpretation of the event.
Let's try to check the design process behind the Unending Square. Maybe you could share it with us, because I could see a lot of layers of information, and maybe we could see the origin of the concept. It's also for the viewers to see.
No, the concept doesn't come first. So what I started is I've done a lot of deep reading into the Bernard Chumi's The Mentor's Transcript. So what I did early on, my tutor helped me a lot in confirming the design, the literature. So straight away from the beginning, I told my tutor Lee Cheng Yi a few keywords: fiction, causality, which means causality, which cause and sequences, and then next is the film. So right now from here, fiction, film, and causality. Then he introduced this body of work to me from Bernard Chumi. Then straight away I jump and analyze because it's very graphical, the drawing. I try to emulate straight away. I copy the style and produce some work. So this is what I copy and what I find out. Then here I try to copy again. And the process is that during this copying research stage, we also have dissertation. We also have research process where I go to the co-working office to look at the people, how they work, look into the community or the past paper that people have written for co-working space. Then in the meantime, I also try to continue emulate Bernard Chumi's work. So these are some of the process.
So basically these are
the from OMA.
Okay, these are the notations that you codify as the foundation of the concept. Do I understand it correctly?
Notation. No, this is like diagram. Like notation is like all these little 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the little add the arrow. All those are the notation. Yeah. Okay. But this diagramming method or graphic method I try to emulate. So this one is I analyze the site at that time. I analyze the site. I'm finding whether is it the concept doesn't come first. The how to say the rationale, the logic behind the designs is not thought of at the very beginning. It was thought out later. I purely want to explore first of all, the drawing methodology, how they draw, and I also go deep into the body of literature.
Okay.
Because it's really the deconstruction. Then only I solve all the things. Then only I try to connect the point. How could I find logical, objective that is very functional that I could apply. So at the very beginning, it's more to what can I derive from the body of work. Then the second question is how could I derive from the body of work for the co-working community.
Mm-hmm. That's the synthesis.
Then later on, so like, all this is still the process. Yeah. So right now, all this is still the process. Like the frame that they have, all this technique is really strictly following the body of work. Like only a frame itself, the frame, there's really like a few page of body of work for that. Then in terms of annotation, color use, event, all this, the movement, all is in the literature. So I try to get as much. Then I form my own. Then some of the strategy I also didn't use. So actually, if let's say I come out with 20 strategy, maybe I only use like 5 to 10. I will select those that I find complements the co-working space. Then I come up with this. This like end of first semester. It's still very much different with the final outcome because of the importance of frame. So this is all pure Bernard-Tschumi theory. It is only until the second semester where I break out. I don't purely follow what Bernard-Tschumi did, and I try to use other deconstructivist strategy or design method to further explore my design. So from here, right, this is end of semester 1. Usually from what you see, what I did earlier on, I'm like the student who get the lowest mark in my class. Because none of my classmates is doing something like this. Based on that, where we start, and usually the researcher or the mentor, they want to have the foundation of the thesis laid very firmly at the very beginning, which means that you must look at the objective. You always like research question must be done looking at the very objective and realistically can be achieved. Whereby from me here, the objective wasn't set at the very beginning. It was done later. So from here, right, the only objective I have is that what I described earlier on is to provide a fresh start. This is the space. Let's say this is my laptop. I can look at all the event, the space, the quality that I see from every view is different. So that is the kind of fresh start feature that we can have for the student. But at that time, my grade is like the lowest in my class. Do you believe that?
That's the lowest in your class? Do I hear it right?
Yeah, I'm like borderline. Yeah, borderline failing in my first semester. Then at the end, of course, the tutor also helped me to get me past. Because it's not conventional at all, the path that I'm doing, and the risk that I take. I don't really care about the grading that much at that time.
Yeah.
This is your what I want to do.
This is your thesis. Am I right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. The first semester of my thesis.
And I just want to ask about at the beginning of your project. This is because you mentioned that it doesn't start with a concept. The concept has been conceptualized at the end. So is it right to say that it is a bottoms-up design process wherein like you don't really have a concept at the beginning? Yeah, which is kind of different, right? Because
rather than concept.
Yeah, it's different because most of the time it's a top-down design wherein you already have the idea or the form in your head. Everything goes with it, but you kind of reversed it.
Yes. Because the work, right, like Bernard-Tschumi have all this work. It's very abstract and very diagrammatic. Then I try to copy and derive at the very beginning stage, I purely want to learn more about the theory, learn more about the literature, the theoretical body of work that have been documented by Bernard Trumis. So I go deep into that without coming into any conclusion soon. I put that as much as possible. Then I think what part of the reason why the mentor they really like the way I do is because it's very unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly.
First of all, at the very beginning, they grade me very lowly. Is because they cannot predict. That's why they grade me very low. But but out of the grading process, they're actually very excited because they don't know what will happen next. Compared to other students where maybe the first interim or the first presentation is straight away can predict how the final outcome look like. That's most of the other student work lah. I'm going to do green building, I'm going to explore this for the hospital. So the first week itself, you really kind of predict the outcome of the student work. But for my case, it's totally opposite. The tutor, when I present all this, they cannot predict how the final outcome will look like because that's not the main intention. And besides, like what you say, concept, right? It wasn't that rational at the very beginning. It wasn't like to achieve. The objective wasn't that clear. The objective at that time is just to what theory. What are the functional element that I could derive from the theory? That's my early objective. Then only I link to co-working space. Then only I specify the real feature of this concept. So from here, this is the 3D model. So right now the main feature is like it create a very dynamic working experience. This is the snake and ladder viewing from outside. So they are free to go around the whole space to form their own storyline, to form their own daily experience, who they meet, what would happen. The whole building inner experience is entirely unpredictable as well.
Yeah, you can already
From
get
one
the
point
idea from the outside if you're going to walk from the street looking at the building, you know that what will happen inside is something that you will not predict. It's already
that's part of the intention.
That's the first impression.
Yeah, so here the drawing was pretty much cut out before I start drawing them. So let's say I have this completed drawing. This is the completed ISO. So I lay my butter paper, the hopiang paper on top of it to trace over it. And then here I also do the cutout. Like the red line is actually the cut section. So this is what I work with at that time. I print this out, I straight away put my paper on it, and I render like 22 hours lah.
The first thing I noticed when you show this section is how committed you are to the structural design of the building. I mean, you can even see the beams from the floor slabs. You really want to make it.
I have to.
In real life,
it may not work. It may not work perfectly well, but I have to show that it's believable. So with the current technology, with the 3D models, this is what made it possible lah. I could just imagine in the past without the 3D software, it make it quite hard to make it believable, right? And also the beam, the column, those are part of the strategy I use in the building. Like we have all this chaos, all this chaotic structure. The columns serve as a constant order. Like all this furniture work, they have all this consistent gap. Although it's chaotic, all the little point is different, but something is still being consistent. So for me, the column distance is always the same in the floor plan. The rest is following different axes. So those are the strategy. But before that, I spent a lot of time to come up with a lot of strategy, which is like all this strategy here. Like analyze the program of co-working. Of course I still try to use back the strategy of design methodology of what furniture used in the meta transcript frame relation. You can read Horizontally, you can read vertically, it relates both to each other, and there's all this annotation going on.
Yeah.
And this was done end of semester 1. Then I do
your
this. So
background
all this
study
ties
summary,
back,
can you show it again? The
which one?
yeah, that, I guess that one would do. So these are the analysis of different aspects of your project, right?
This is the comparison between conventional office and co-working space.
Yeah, it's a very neat way to visually explain the innovations of your work. Like, you don't even need to write too much text for it. So it's actually a pretty good example of how to create a simple comparative analysis, if I looking at it correctly. In my class, we call it specimen analysis. But our design process is in a different context, however. Specimen analysis in terms of how to create spaces, different kind of spaces. In your case, this is a comparative analytical diagrams on what's going on inside your building itself. But you also shown some aspect of the site, right?
Site analysis.
That's also pretty interesting for me, because basically the form of the site is based on the axis of the site. The form of the building, rather, is based on this, right? The orientation.
These are
of the building.
axes that these are the axes that I captured, I selected. Before this, I have a few more options that is entirely a mess, because I take on a lot of axes. This is the only axis that I captured. From here, there's Qibla, north, south, east, west, and whatnot. Then I turn into the grid line. And then from the grid line, I use the grid line to come up with all these snake and ladder circulation. But of course, other site study is like, this report wasn't compiled in chronological way, so it's a bit here and there. The site study is more like this, which some of them is not that useful. Like, this is the height study to my site, the relationship between the site with the adjacent business district. Then here I do a study on the program. What are the program around my building? All this I reference from OMA. I also have the height study. Then from here I actually draw it in another diagram. This is for height, the height study. Where can I find that diagram? I've done this diagram. This is the one where I use the OMA method, the Yokohama master plan diagram that I shown earlier, to do one more version into my site. And this one is a combination with Bernard Chumi as well. Like, I show perspective view of the key area that most of the people will be at this time. Let's say on between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. this is the place with more people will be. And then I show a floor plan or sectional with the circulation, how the people will move. I try to derive something out of this, but end up this drawing is more like, so from here, right, I unable to really convert this into an actual design outcome, but this itself is an investigation at that time. To say that this attempt failed, right? But because I have done this study, I can tell the mentor, or I can tell the crit that I have done site study, and then I have tried using other contextual site element to inform design decision, but it's not effective. So this itself become a work, evidence that I've done the study, and also to prove that certain idea doesn't work. So it's also quite valuable to me at that time for this drawing.
This is
so I keep on doing the work.
This is like the cultural mapping of your project, right? The spaces related to time.
The program type, like here, the first row cinema, then we have shopping malls, the office, then the line indicate which time it will be occupied. So some during the night, like here, the massage go all the way here, because some of the activity goes 24 hours. So during this is the peak hour. So the center here, 10 o'clock to 13 o'clock, it has the highest most activity here. Then what shop is being closed and whatnot. Then how the building looks like for school or traffic, how the different places look like. So this is, I try to come up with something from this study but no, it's too much. The conclusion I have is that contextual element is good to incorporate in the project, but it has to be relevant. Relevant contextual element is much more important. Otherwise, it's very forceful. It's contextual, but it's irrelevant. Then it's no point. Yeah, this was sex study, but all this while I'm jumping here and there. But you have any question to ask?
Oh yeah.
These are the.
And looking at the floor plans, it all makes sense because you seem to really create a very coherent floor plan based on the axis that basically creates all of the orientation. But I'm sure you did have to make some time to really make the whole solid parts of the building, right? Like how did you make the decision to place this kind of slab of solid on this side of the building? Is it improvisational, or is it something that we sometimes call it happy accidents? Did you encounter any happy accidents along the way when you create the 3D model?
Happy accident. There's a lot of happy accident while developing all this. From the theory to how I can use the theory, and then how I combine all the useful functional idea about the theory. Those are happy coincidence. Like all this is from the theoretical body. At the beginning, we purely explore multiplicity of reading, like how a same space can be read differently as much as possible. So it's almost like snake and ladder. How much I can walk around. So this is all this happy accident happen here. So just the question you asked, how I build the 3D model is all following all this strategy here. With all this confirmed, then only I go to the 3D model. So like I have a lot of visual element in our project. Like this one, it indicates how one would walk. So if let's say like the project in the elevation and section, if you see slanted element, if you see slanted element, it means that there's a staircase nearby. And then whatever you see on the space indicates the kind of event that they could have. Like all this theory, I apply all of them. Axis. Then like space is designed to be unable to see and to be read fully. So we have only one vertical atrium. Other space, there's no hierarchy, and there's always multiple entry and exit point, like this one. Nothing is centric, nothing is hierarchical.
This is the DNA of the building. But
I control the like.
I'm also wondering if the building has different layers of meaning. Is it something that you're aware of? I mean, well, usually just to give the context, when you create a building, right? You put symbolisms or meanings into the form or whatnot. Is it something that you are trying to impose, or is it something that you don't really care about? I mean, what's your take on that?
No. From here, my focus is very focused. I try not to have any external association or meaning to the space, because from here, everything I want to be very objective, very straightforward. Like what I mean straightforward and objective is that I only focus on user experience. because I don't think anyone can argue user experience, which means that one could enjoy from one point to another point, to work with the laptop, to interact with the people, unpredictable event in the space. All this is very strong and very safe argument, so that like thesis defend, no people will really challenge that because it's very believable.
Yeah.
So any association and meaning, it become quite subjective. You may interpret it, you may see it as something else, another people might see it another way. So I have to leave that subjectivity out and make it a purely objective study. So that is the intention. Not say avoid or not, but here I try to be very user experience centric, and all this is because my tutor Lee Cheng Yi direct me into this way. It has been very crucial into direct me in this way.
And this is the scale model, right? So
yeah, the scale model. Wait, I have that. Yeah, I still have it.
Wow. I think I watched a video of you making this model. I'm not sure if it's the same scale model though. And I feel like it's very different from your initial output on the preceding semester. I can only imagine
yes.
What's the reaction of your jury when you already presented this?
They enjoy it because they don't see. I treat my creeds or my mentor or whoever in my class as part of the audience, which mean that they are here to enjoy. So I kind of want to, like, it's like a movie in a way that I try not to make it very predictable, so there's always something to look forward to. So I give them surprises, same as like what I do with all the diagram, right? So they don't have to look into words, they can look at this. Of course, there's some, I want to share some of the secret or something I discover by doing all this. I just want to make it very honest, because when the difference between text and diagram and what I find out about abstraction is that we leave a gap of unexplained element. Everyone interpret it slightly differently. Like I have my reason of drawing this, but when you read it, it's entirely different. Then with that gap, with that room, people tend not to argue with each other. Yeah, like when I show, like you said, when I show the work to my tutor, right? Most of the people don't really understand what is going on. Yet some of the tutor or student, they don't really want to ask. It's almost like the invincible cloth for the king. You heard that story?
I think I didn't. Yeah.
The emperor invincible cloth, something like that. Like no one is there to point out the flaws or question. So whenever if I draw something like that or I do the diagram, if let's say some professor say it's good, then everyone else will say it's good. We leave the room for interpretation, because it's all diagram, it's all abstraction. So for this design process, straight away, like it's give people enjoy looking into it, and yeah, it's all there. So it kind of serves that purpose. So this is the secret, because like all the diagram drawing, those are part of my dissertation conclusion. The strength and weakness of the abstraction, like drawings, is that it's very hard to argue. It's very hard to fully define, and that's the intention. Yeah.
And it's very interesting because you try to combine Western architecture's deconstructivism with your sensibilities, with emphasis on the anthropological needs of the users, right? Well, if you're familiar with Peter Eisenman, he's not the type of architect who really cares about the users. Well, based on his interviews, and you seem to create a different approach based on your case study, which is Chumi.
Yeah.
And but I just want to ask, right? Is deconstructivism as a theory? Is it something alien or something very new in your country? I mean, in the Philippines, we also find it very new over here. So, how about there?
In terms of the major, what do you call a major movement? I think when I do my dissertation, deconstructivist is the latest movement. There's not really a movement after deconstructivist anymore. Like once it displayed on the MOMA, then right now the deconstructivists, 7 of them branches out. There's not really a movement anymore because they break the rules. Deconstructivists break the rules.
Yeah.
After they have broken down the rules, then people can straight away legitimate the act of not following the rules anymore. So people start not following any main window or of course right now all the internet, social media makes idea exchange very quickly. You may have a movement 2 months now, then another 5 months change another movement. So it changes too quick, it becomes less like a movement. So this contributes, if you say new or not sure. People are still, but like what I say, all this abstraction is all drawing, so it leaves a lot up to the personal interpretation. So people, maybe 10 years later, people will still interpret them differently. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I also observe when we are witnessing a different design process, right? One of the challenges when you're the one who's doing it is it's the intellectually challenging nature of it. I mean, because if you're doing something conventional like green architecture, sometimes they call it a kitsch, right? Because it's a cookie cutter design process. But when you're trying to introduce something different, but yeah, what's your experience on that? I mean, you can imagine you also had some challenging people who tried to challenge you in any way. Yeah, what's your experience?
I just find that as I look at this master thesis program, all this as in a very different lens, because we always talk about context, right?
Yeah.
There's another context which is called academic context. People don't really look at academic context, like how this project can make the school famous, maybe how the student work can benefit the school, can benefit the mentor, right? So that's why we always want something new, something different, and want something what is it called? New, different, and there's one more. We always chase for all these things, but I don't really agree on that. I like you said, if I go to green architecture, I can still come up with something new. I can still innovate from it. It's okay. But my thought process is that if one would do something deeply interested to them in their own interest, they are able to perform more than their limits. They will go beyond 100% of their limit if they follow their interest. If someone is truly committed in green architecture, I think that student will perform much better. If the beings more self-driven, the motivation is there.
You can always put a different twist on it. That's what you're trying to express.
At the end of the day, is what the student want to learn. Yeah.
And I just remember I'm sorry to interrupt. I just remember Ken Yeang, like he's it's like the godfather, right, of the whole green architecture movement, right? How he is? What is his image in Malaysia? Is he like just to give you a context, right? We have the architect here. His name is Francisco Manyosa. He's like our local equivalent of Kenya. and he's one of our national artists for architecture in the Philippines. Did Kenya has the same
Wow.
level of prestige in Malaysia?
Yes, it has. But to go back, Kenya is a very good businessman. He really know how to work on his brand.
Mhm.
Like he's like you say, godfather of green architecture. I don't believe he's the first one. I don't believe he's the first few who pioneer all the technology. But he is the one who publicized it, go around the world, giving lecture, do a lot of documentation work. He is very well respected in our country. But I just want to be very honest with what I think. Yeah, for him, because sometimes doing the work is not enough. You have to show the work. So what he was very successful in is that he showed all the work and documented all the things, publicized all the work, like a lot of books. So he's very well respected. Still one of the most comprehensive master planner with high design in Malaysia. Yeah. Yep. But one could only do so much in our country.
Okay. So thank you for showing us your work on the Unending Square. We can see your work on your website, right? In case our viewers interested to see more of it.
Yeah, I have like it's in detail and it's in chronological. It explains everything in my website. So with videos, with all the graphic, yeah, I think I took too long in this session. Suddenly the time passed so fast. I spent so long talking on this project. But everything is here in the website.
And yeah, before we proceed to our next topic, this thesis of yours had won the Architizer's One Drawing Challenge back in 2019. What motivates you to join, by the way? How did you
the drawing
about the event?
I have a few professor and my mentor all asked me to join since I already had drawn the drawing, so therefore I simply joined. And also because I started to force myself to document the work on Instagram. Then some like Architizer, they approached me to join competition. Then another competition organizer, Tamayos, also approached me on Instagram, asked me to join the competition. So why not? I straight away join. So because of me documenting my work and publish it on Instagram, I got a lot of benefit actually. It opens a lot from what I did in Instagram. So those are the reasons why I took part in those competitions. Yeah. The tutors, they all pushed me to submit, and just happened maybe coincidentally or whatnot. Yeah.
Did you receive emails from other countries because of it?
So far, there's like people messaging me. Some of them do ask questions on how do you work on this.
Yeah.
And then they ask very technical question, more like a student.
So
and
that's all.
That's all what happened.
This is the video where you are showing the drawing process, right?
Yeah, the process. Yeah. I have to. It might be a bit laggy viewing from there because it's all over the Zoom, right? Yeah. So I still viewing this on YouTube as well. So it's straight away drawn. I think it's just much faster and straightforward for me. It saved me time. But it's also, of course, it's a huge change. Like just now you said, the 3D, to make this 3D took a very long time. To confirm the design strategy, everything took an even longer time as well. Yeah, all this is up, on the website. Seems like we're taking quite some time, like almost 1 hour for this topic itself.
Yeah.
Do you have a limit? Like what are the actual limit?
Well, there's really none. But we can actually go beyond the hour, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, we can proceed on on your experiences on which school is it? Maybe you can share some some
Yeah,
thought
usually
about
right
it?
now, yeah. Last time I went back to tailors for a few times to give some help to the students. So what I did is I print all this drawing out, I share with the student, I explain like what I just explained, the design process, whatnot, give them some confidence. That's also part of my other purposes because I'm a tailorian. I mean, I graduate from the school, so I kind of go back there to tell them that I've been through there, give as an alumni, giving them some confidence. Those are before my Instagram has so much documented work. So right now, since I already uploaded all the work on my website and on my Instagram, it's much more straightforward to share them my process. Yeah. So whenever the student come and approach me now, I will send all this to them. So beside that, it's usually more to going to like interim to grade or the final presentation to give grading and how they could further improve in their next semester and whatnot. Yeah. Because usually in my school, they prefer architect that have license, that's being fully licensed before they start teaching full time in their school.
If I remember it correctly, you did have some sort of collaboration with students wherein you were designing some sort of a bridge. Am I right? Is it a bridge or?
Oh, that was. I'm the student. I'm the student itself. I'm one of the students in that project. That was like 8 to 9 years ago. That bridge. Yeah, that is like that's during my diploma year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
of course, all the
nice.
while when I'm studying as a student.
I actually thought you're the mentor there, so.
No, I'm not. I was a student back then.
So these are your Instagram.
Then.
Okay. So we'll.
So I try to.
We'll link them.
I try to be as helpful.
So this is the one that I saw.
Yeah, this is me.
Yeah.
The one at the center is me. It's just that I grew out of it. I'm much better looking.
This is the reason why I thought you're the teacher, because you're at the center. And
yeah. This is me. This is me presenting.
Okay.
This is me, the white shirt guy. Yeah. It was like how long ago? I think 10 years ago. So 7 years ago.
So you just
now it's 8 years
uploaded it late, so I thought it's just last year. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, I kind of want to show the bad work that I did the last time. So sometimes it's good to document the bad work so that one could see the progress, what has been changed. So I have been quite fearless in uploading. I want to show the diploma works to show the difference. Then, yeah. And sometimes there's something surprising. I didn't expect some of these have some quite good comments. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I encourage more students to share their work more.
Yeah. So for our viewers, right, if they want to talk to you, they would just go to your Instagram. You're gonna
and go to my Instagram or you can contact me here. This is my website, my email, my contact numbers, or my Instagram is over at let me see if I can do this. Cannot change the font.
Oh, it's okay. We can read it.
This is my Instagram handle. Yep.
Okay.
Oops.
Well, I have one last question before we end our podcast, right? So
yeah.
In Malaysia, architecture. Well, I'll share my experience first. In the Philippines, our community is pretty small. Like we're just 10% of well, if you compare us to the engineers, we're just 1/10 of their population. So the public appreciation to architecture in our country is pretty well. It's not as prestigious as engineers. So I'm just wondering if you're experiencing the same in Malaysia. What's your take on that?
Yeah, we have only 2,000 plus architects in our Malaysia, where licensed architect is only 2,000 plus. In general, if you talk about the priority of needs, hierarchy of needs, architecture wasn't up there. People usually only need basic building. Sometimes people is not in a position to request or fight for good architecture or well-designed space and buildings. And then the established architect usually also don't reach out to the public to either raise awareness or to educate or to put information out. There's always this gap. So part of the reason why I try to upload as much to my Instagram is also hopefully at least people around me kind of know what architecture is. So people still have prestige. People look up to architect in Malaysia because it's quite unfamiliar to architects. Usually once in a lifetime or even not, one would engage an architect. So architect becomes something very far away from the normal people here. Very far away. Like lawyer, people know what lawyer do, but for architects, most people have a lot of passions. Yeah, the general public isn't that much. So people who really care about architecture is still very small in Malaysia. I believe it's the same with your situation. The community is very small.
Yeah,
people usually bang into each other. Yeah.
We have almost the same experience in the Philippines. This is why we need to work hard, I guess. Make our websites, publicize our works. I'm going to start mine this coming year. So
yeah,
I'll share it with you once it's done. So
yeah.
And with this,
and like what you did with this podcast also.
Oh yeah,
helps a lot.
How can I forget? What we're doing now is actually part of our scheme to publicize our profession. So, well, yeah. Thank you very much, Caleb.
Let's make it more transparent. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, happy holidays, my friend. Hope to see you there.
Yeah, thank you so much as well. Alright, enjoy.
Hope I could visit you there, or maybe you go here. But I'm not sure if it's gonna happen anytime soon because of the COVID thing.
The next time I go to Philippines, I'm gonna hunt for hopiah. I want to know what's that.
We're going to bring you on. We're going to bring you in Manila, where the action is happening. So it's going to be an experience.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Thanks so much for inviting, really, for the meme podcast.
Okay. Before we end the podcast, I would like to ask: are you familiar with Hamzah Yeang Designer Award? Had you heard of it in Taylor University?
Yeah.
Ida.
Why? Yes.
Well, yeah, we're joining on that competition, and if we win, we're going to represent the Philippines for Southeast Asia. So I'm not sure if Taylor's joining. So if they win, of course, we're gonna compete against your school, but it's going to be a long shot. We still need to win our country first.
Sounds fun.
It is, yeah. So we might have the best excuse to go there if that happened. But we need to win the Philippines first. So, so okay. Okay.
Yeah, keep me updated. Looking forward to know more news and listening to more podcasts. The main podcast.
Yes. We're gonna share this. We're gonna edit this first. So maybe hopefully by December 31st, we're going to publish it on YouTube and Spotify. You use Spotify there, right? In Malaysia.
Yes, I use. We use.
Okay,
Quite
very good.
popular as well.
Okay, so I'm going to end the meeting now, my friend. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
Yes. Thank you too, Rona, for the invitation. Yeah. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Happy holiday.
Happy
See you.
holidays.
Thanks so much again. Yeah. Keep in
Bye.
touch. Yeah. Bye.